our prophet has returned.
The creative freedom of animation allows cartoons to take their stories anywhere, and more times than we could have imagined, many of these cartoons have predicted the future. Which show predicted the Pokemon Go craze? Which show featured the future of a scary movie franchise? And how was Inspector Gadget ahead of his time? Time to break down these future predictions from favorites like The Simpsons, South Park, and Robot Chicken.
Let's go into my office.
Pokemon Go took the world by storm back in 2016. Well, back in 1999, South Park could see the rise of Pokemon coming and decided to take it on with the episode entitled Chinpokomon.
Whoa.
The parody of the Pokemon included everything from toys to video games. Much like the Pokemon Go craze and controversy with the app, the children of South Park were being tracked and manipulated with the various Chinpokomon products. Just like real people exploring the outdoor world trying to catch them all, the kids of South Park were addicted to the trend, and it took some major intervention to stop it all. One of the funniest parts is how strong the Pokemon brand remains to this day, and South Park predicted the brand domination over 20 years ago when the anime was just reaching the United States. Milhouse isn't the brightest character on The Simpsons, but he was able to make a bold prediction that no one else expected. The prediction came in the 2010 season premiere episode where Lisa has some friends over to watch the live Nobel Prize announcements. When Martin holds up the Nobel Prize pool, check out Milhouse's pick for economics: Bang Holstrom. Well, 6 years later, the MIT professor would actually win the prize for economics, and hopefully Milhouse cashed in on the delayed pool victory. Clearly, the Simpsons writers did their research when it came to actually filling out the pool. Poor Steve Harvey. Despite being one of the greatest Family Feud hosts, hosting his own talk show, and writing many best-selling books, all anyone can talk about is his Miss Universe mishap where he announced the wrong winner back in 2015. The mistake actually aired on Fox, home of Futurama, the animated series which showcased an eerily similar error back in the year 2000. During the season 2 episode, The Lesser of Two Evils, Leela gets crowned Miss Universe. Unfortunately for her, the host and judge, Zap Brannigan, read the wrong name, and Miss Vega 4 was declared the winner as Leela got stripped of her crown. We have to wonder if Steve Harvey watched the episode to, make himself feel better after the incident. The Child's Play franchise has been going strong for years and relied on Brad Dourif to voice the menacing doll for all this time, right up until the 2019 reboot got released. In the reboot, Chucky is voiced by legendary voice actor Mark Hamill. Of course, we all know him as Luke Skywalker, but Hamill has voiced numerous cartoon characters, including the Joker from Batman the Animated Series.
It's nice that way.
Oddly enough, back in 2005, Hamill took his first stab, see what we did there? At voicing Chucky in a parody for the cartoon Robot Chicken. His voice role was great back then and showcased a lot of potential for the future. A future which turned into a memorable reboot. We have to wonder if producers approached him due to the scene or if Robot Chicken creators had some hindsight into Hamill's future. Caitlyn Jenner's transformation from Bruce took the world by surprise back in 2015. Well, not everyone was surprised, especially the writers and animators on Family Guy. Years before Jenner announced she was transgender, Family Guy made direct remarks about the former Olympian. First came a scene with Brian and Stewie where Stewie directly states that Bruce Jenner was a woman.
Bruce Jenner is a man.
No, Brian. That's what the press would have you believe.
Then there's a scene on a naval ship where Peter introduces Bruce Jenner to come out and do a seductive dance for the Navy guys. The feather boa and girly gestures were definitely hinting about Jenner's transformation. The show pokes fun at a ton of celebrities, but this instance seems a little too on the nose for the show's creators to not have a little more insider information. And speaking of celebrity predictions, Family Guy nailed another one, this time on actor Kevin Spacey. In recent years, a ton of controversy has swarmed around Kevin Spacey, including some major allegations of inappropriate actions from Kevin towards many of his male coworkers. Back in 2005, Family Guy had a quick gag that ended up reflecting some of the truth behind the allegations. When Stewie makes a bet with Brian, he proceeds to run naked through a mall and screamed out that,
Help! I've escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement! Help me!
Yeah, yikes. The message is clear, but Spacey's actions would not go public for over a decade after the episode aired. Can you imagine if all the KFCs around your town were shut down? Yeah, well, this is exactly what happened in the 2010 episode of South Park entitled Medicinal Fried Chicken. When the KFC does close in South Park, Cartman decided to sell his own buckets of KFC and reap the benefits. Flash forward to 2018, and KFC is forced to close several hundred locations in the UK due to operational issues. So what happened? People began selling KFC chicken on eBay, but for over $100 a chicken. The The 2-day wait was apparently too long for some people as they shelled out a whole lot of money to purchase the fried chicken. Cartman would be proud. The voting machine mishaps in the 2012 Barack Obama and Mitt Romney election. In real life, people were selecting a candidate like Obama only to have a Romney checkmark appear on the electronic voting screen. Well, back during Obama's first election in 2008, The Simpsons predicted this disaster playing out. On the electronic voting machine, Homer clearly taps Obama, but a vote for John McCain pops up.
No, I want to vote for Obama.
No matter how much Homer tries to change his vote, more votes get triggered for McCain. Of course, The Simpsons take their future predictions one step further by literally sucking Homer into the machine, but you get the picture. Elections are messy, and The Simpsons showcased this in the simplest way possible. In the world of television and movies, there are so many 9/11 conspiracies out there. Basically, any type of programming that featured the Twin Towers is tossed into the mix and brought into the conversation as predicting the disaster. Even Bugs Bunny cannot avoid this fate. In the 1943 short, Falling Hair, Bugs takes on a flying gremlin who attempts to crash his plane. The battle ensues and eventually reaches a city where Bugs must pilot the plane between two similar-looking towers so the plane doesn't crash into the towers. He makes it, and decades later, the animated short became relevant again when people tried to connect the whole thing to the 9/11 tragedy. Sadly, this isn't the only 9/11 connection people have made to cartoons, no matter how far-fetched the connections may seem. In 2005, the world of cinema broke new ground with the mainstream release of Brokeback Mountain starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger. The film was about two cowboys who secretly lusted for one another and included memorable camping scenes that were seemingly predicted by a cartoon years earlier.
All this for a bunch of stupid movies?
Back in 1998, it was none other than South Park's Cartman who predicted the future film in the episode Chef's Chocolate Salty Balls. When the Sundance Film Festival comes to town, Cartman shows up and claims that all independent films are just about gay cowboys eating pudding.
Nah, dude, independent films are those black and white hippie movies. They're always about gay cowboys eating pudding.
Well, minus the pudding, he was right on track with the popularity and rise of Brokeback Mountain. For years, one of the staple shows in Las Vegas was the White Tiger Spectacular featuring Siegfried and Roy. On The Simpsons, the duo was mocked in the season 5 episode Springfield, when Mr. Burns opens up his own casino and presents the Gunter and Ernst show. Well, the White Tiger had finally had enough and attacks the two performers in a way that wasn't much different from real life. The 1993 episode seemed to come true 10 years later when Roy was attacked on stage by a white tiger after seemingly suffering from a stroke. The attack closed their show for good, and the world of Las Vegas changed forever following the scary animal incident. Inspector Gadget was a big hit back in the 80s. If only all the children watching knew how much of the show would predict their future. For example, Penny often wore a smartwatch with video communication. She had her very own laptop that looked very similar to early versions of companies like Toshiba. One of the biggest predictions of the future would come in the form of a digital camera. Penny used a camera that would connect to a computer and snap photos. No film was needed. The idea seemed way out there back in the 80s, but pretty much every piece of tech that Penny used actually became a reality. Back in the year 2000, we all got to see Bart to the Future, where we learn that Lisa Simpson is President of the United States in 2030. During a quick scene with Lisa, she mentions one of the former presidents before her was Donald Trump.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
Well, 16 years later, the prediction came true as Trump was elected president. Actually, let's keep the Simpsons prediction train going. If you thought the Donald Trump prediction was impressive, well, then consider one of the biggest media purchases in history when Disney purchased 20th Century Fox. First came the rights to Star Wars from Lucasfilms, and then came the whole 20th Century Fox company. The funny part about the prediction is that many viewers may have easily missed the moment. Back in 1998, an episode showcased Homer visiting 20th Century Fox. Well, if you look closely at the sign, it says a division of Walt Disney Co. Plain and simple prediction from the brilliant Simpsons writers. Tangent time. If you heart ScreenRant content, then boy howdy do we have something for you. If you subscribe to us and click that little bell, you'll be notified every time we release a new video. Outstanding. If you're on mobile, make sure notifications are on via your app settings. Season after season, The Simpsons features a massive lineup of guest stars. In the 2012 episode, Lisa Goes Gaga, Lady Gaga takes over a ton of the episode, including an animated performance where she flies up in the air and sings a song about little monsters. 5 years later, Lady Gaga got her halftime show performance in real life. and she must have looked back on the Simpsons episode because there are many similar elements. One of the most obvious is when Lady Gaga gets hoisted up into the air, just like her animated counterpart. Of course, it all could be a coincidence considering Lady Gaga's extravagant concerts over the years, but we just love to believe that The Simpsons truly does predict the future. Before Robert Downey Jr. made Iron Man the cool and charismatic hero we know him as today, Marvel released an animated series back in the early 1990s based off of the character. In the 1994 episode, the Grim Reaper wears a Teflon coat. Stark tries to prevent a powerful warplane from going into production and uses a pretty disturbing video to prove his point. The video showcases the plane invading the airspace of New York City and launching missiles at several of the buildings. One of the early explosions in the clip shows a couple of missiles hitting a pair of twin towers that look similar to the World Trade Center. To only make the conspiracy stronger, the end of the episode features the same plane trying to stage a similar attack on Washington, D.C. The two locations and visuals are pretty surprising to see, considering they took place 7 years before the September 11th attacks. Small drones were once a novelty that people enjoyed flying in their backyard. Well, now they have expanded in all different areas of professional life, including the world of media. Drone cameras are used at all types of events, and naturally, Futurama was one of the first cartoons to showcase the futuristic tech. In a 1999 episode, the show features a parody of C-SPAN in the form of C-SPAN 9, and you could see the flying drone cameras capturing all the footage. Once the technology gets quiet enough and batteries last long enough, it's only a matter of time before drones start becoming an important part of all television broadcasts. The funny part of the drone camera prediction was that this came before HD television was even mainstream. Futurama is ahead of the game. South Park has never had a problem taking on celebrities, just ask R. Kelly or Tom Cruise. Another celeb on their list, Miley Cyrus. The odd part, South Park predicted Miley's future long before she shed her clean-cut Disney look and came swinging in on a wrecking ball. The episode itself aired in 2008 and actually focused on Britney Spears and her big public breakdown.
Oh boy, what's she done now?
The Miley stuff comes at the end of the episode as she starts to become a megastar. Well, the prediction of Miley's rise and major changes isn't the biggest surprise. So many child stars have gone through similar transformations as they transition to adulthood and leave the Disney brand behind. The Jetsons was another show with an uncanny ability to predict the future. Despite the show airing on smaller tube-based televisions, the Jetsons featured flat-screen TVs. And while we may not have flying cars quite yet, the robotic vacuum is now a thing people use on the daily inside their homes. Video chat was another big element on the Jetsons, and with so many new products, video chat has become a daily part of people's lives now. The Jetsons showcased a vision for the future, and so much of it has come true, except for a newer reboot of the show. It's not just early episodes of The Simpsons that were predicting the future. As recently as 2017, we got a glimpse of the future, this time with some spoilers for the final season of Game of Thrones. In the episode Surfsons, the Simpsons family watches as a dragon burns their whole town to the ground. Sound familiar? Just 2 years later, we would see the same twist as Daenerys completed her transformation into the Mad Queen and had her dragon burn King's Landing to the ground. Futurama always had the benefit of making funny jokes and visual puns about movies in the future. One of their best predictions actually came in the form of an official Baywatch movie. In the cartoon, Pamela Anderson's head makes a cameo appearance and the show mentions Baywatch the movie and Pamela's Oscar she earned for her role. While the Oscar thing was false, there was an official Baywatch film, and Pamela Anderson had an extended cameo, one with some slow motion action, just like Futurama predicted. Mel Gibson was making waves for his religious hit The Passion of the Christ, and South Park decided to do their own take on it with The Passion of the Jew. Using Gibson's actual picture, the episode featured him going deeper into some erratic behavior, including some anti-Semitic comments. And this was when he was still the beloved star of the Lethal Weapon franchise. A few years later, and the whole world would see the real Mel Gibson pretty closely to how South Park portrayed him.
He's absolutely out of his mind.
Outbursts, angry voicemails, and a derailed career would change the public perception of Gibson, and South Park predicted this all along. Sometimes the simple predictions can go a long way. Just take a small joke in a 2002 episode of Futurama. In a cutaway scene, we meet an alien couple who sit and enjoy TV. What are they watching? Friends reruns. Even though the sitcom was recently taken off of Netflix, the show was one of the more popular hits on the service and still airs in syndication on multiple networks. The funniest part of the gag was that the episode aired when Friends was still on the air. The best part of the episode is when the alien, Lur, goes to answer the door and doesn't mind missing the show because it's a Joey-centric episode. Yeah, we all cringe at the whole Joey-Rachel storyline as well. Besides Bender, we meet many other robots on Futurama, including the tragic tale of a robot named Calculon. The bot recalls a traumatic time when he was run down by a robotic car in 2019. Flash forward to years after the episode, in March of 2019. An automated Tesla car was driving and hit a robot standing on the side of the road. The robot was scheduled to be a display model for the upcoming CES show, but clearly plans were changed after the hit and run by the robot Tesla. So not only did Futurama predict the robot-on-robot violence, but they also predicted the exact year the brutal attack would take place.
Move on already!
Sticking with the theme of cars, we're heading back to the world of Inspector Gadget, and one of his more impressive gadgets, the self-driving car. The inspector's car would drive, follow GPS directions, and even park itself. This is our future. Not only is the Tesla self-driving, but the tech is expanding and several new cars now have built-in parking assist. The one thing we all wish cars had? The ability to expand the wheels, rise the car up, and drive right over the slow cars in front of us. Now that would be a great prediction come true in the future. So what do you think is next for the future of cartoons? Any major predictions that we missed? Which show does it the best? Are some of these a little far-fetched, or were the predictions just bound to happen? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to ScreenRant for more great content.